Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Angie, and in this week's video, I'm going to take some items that I got from the thrift store, along with some leftover wood scraps from some of my previous projects, and I'm going to turn them into beautiful home decor. So let's get started and see what I can come up with. For my first project, I used the top portion of a chair back. I simply cut it into 3 sections and used the middle section, and then I gave it a quick sand. Next, I drilled 3 small holes in the top to attach my picture holders. I used air dry clay and a silicone mold with a braid design to decorate the sides. I added this detail because you could see where the spindles used to be. I also added a resin piece from the IOD Lock and Key mold. I just used wood glue and hot glue to attach it. If you're wondering why I used 2 different glues at the same time, the wood glue is for the permanent hold and the hot glue holds it in place until the wood glue dries. Next, I gave it a couple of coats of chalk paint. I always use the chalk paint because it pretty much sticks to any surface. After the paint was dry, I used clear wax followed by antiquing wax. Now you can skip the antiquing wax if that's not the look you're going for, but I like how it looks. To finish the project, I used E6000 and glued these metal ring loop table card holders into the holes, which I purchased from Amazon. For my second project, I'm going to take this scrap of wood and attach it to a knife block that I've got from the thrift store. I'm just attaching it using some wood glue and a couple of nails. To decorate the front, I added some resin pieces that I had made previously. I'll have the names of the molds listed in the description box below. I then used some air dry clay to make a rosette to cover the slots on the knife block. I thought if I left the slots open, my grandkids would put anything and everything down into it. To decorate the sides of the wood, I used a braided design fondant mold. I always check the cake decorating section at the craft store for these molds. Next, I gave it a couple of coats of Waverly's chalk paint in the color Mineral. When the paint was dry, I used the IOD Kindest Regards stamp set to decorate the background. I'm also going to use the Stays On brand ink. I like to use this brand because it dries quickly and it doesn't smear. The tape in the corners is just so I won't get ink on the resin pieces. Again, I'm using the clear wax and then the antiquing wax. To finish it, I'm adding a Bulldog clip to hold my picture. You can find these in the scrapbooking section. Got this clock at the thrift store, and before I could even do anything with it, my grandkids broke it. So I will glue this together first before I do anything else. I cut this circle out. I just traced the glass from the clock onto a piece of this thin wood, and then just used my scissors, cut it out, and then kind of sanded the edges a little bit, and fits right in. After gluing the clock back together, I gave the whole thing a couple of coats of paint. For the wood piece, I printed a photo of my parents onto a piece of rice paper and then decoupaged that onto the wood round. I'm using DIY brand clear liquid patina, but you could also use Mod Podge. Before I decoupaged the picture on, I sprayed a clear matte sealer over the ink to seal it. I do this because I use an inkjet printer and the ink can sometimes smear if I don't. To finish it, I used clear wax followed by the antiquing wax, and then I reassembled the pieces and used wood glue and hot glue to hold it together. The picture I used for this was fairly faded, so it's not a crisp, clean, clear picture. For this project, I'm using a scrap piece of wood and what looks like a giant metal bottle cap that I got from Dollar Tree. I drilled 2 small holes in it and attached it to the wood using small screws. I then used another braided design fondant mold and some air dry clay to cover the rim of the metal. You could also use rope for this step or omit it completely. To decorate the top front, I added a flower from the IOD Primitive Mould set. Next, I gave it a couple of coats of chalk paint. Once again, I'm using clear wax followed by antiquing wax to finish it. To hold my picture on, I'm using 2 resin flowers that I attached some self-adhesive magnet strips to. I also added this tag holder. You can find these in the scrapbooking section in the craft store. For my final project, I'm using a piece of scrap 4x4 wood. I just sanded it down and now I'm giving it a couple of coats of chalk paint. I printed out some pictures of my grandkids on rice paper. You could also use regular copy paper for this too. And once again, I sprayed them to seal it and then decoupaged them onto the sides. I decided to not put a picture on the top and instead used a stamp on it. I then glued some dowel caps on the bottom to use as feet. I then used the antiquing wax just along the edges to give it an aged appearance. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you're not already subscribed, I hope you'll consider doing so.